What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. Yes, we are back. We are live. We are doing this right now, this very moment, from our homes, right now.
Live and alive. We're
Right,
not dead.
live,
We're not
alive
just
and
pushing
alive.
bots.
Yes, I would say in living color, but it's like we always stream these in color anyway. So
We do? Oh man, I've been seeing black and white. Maybe I'm colorblind.
or you're actually just colorblind, Rob.
That's also a possibility. Who knows?
Right. Actually, yeah, that's true. Because actually, I found out that two of my uncles on my dad's side are colorblind.
It's actually a lot more common than I realized that there's people who just there's certain, and I can't. For me, I can't fathom that. Like where you're not able to see a certain color.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird to me. I just and how that works, I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly couldn't imagine waking up tomorrow morning and then everything being like monochromatic.
It'd be like if you were watching, was it that movie Pleasantville?
Yeah, exactly like Pleasantville. That's right. Yeah, I mean that's an old. We should review that one. It's a good one.
Yeah, I think we should too. It's been what was that like? That was about 15 years ago, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
That'll be one on the docket for later on.
Right. But anyways, yes, we're back. We're live. We're here. It's your boy Andy with Nocturnal Transmissions, and with me co-hosting this thing is the homeboy Rob. And yeah, I mean, if you saw this, if you saw the title, then you might have seen that we didn't have the other two titles, kind of hinting at what we'd be talking about today.
Yeah. That means good night, everybody. We're done.
I was like, yeah, we just want to come on here and say that we have nothing for you tonight. So thanks, and we'll see you later. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
We just didn't have anything like a planned topic per se outside of the movie review, and just because the stuff that's going on in the news, it's been kind of a slow news month, I guess.
Yeah, slow news cycle.
It really hasn't been, and so I'm like, and plus like I'm kind of some of the stuff that has been talked about. It's like it's just like I either A, don't care, or B, I'm just like, it's not, to me, it's not worth the time to talk about. So we will use this time to talk about semi-innocuous topics that infatuate us. And
right. I mean, yeah, we could talk about like a bunch of stuff. We could talk about like the Amazon on fire or whatever, or the G7 summit. But it's like, well, one, it's like, okay, here's one thing I'm gonna say about the Amazon being on fire and everything. There's like people who are like outraged and things like that, and sharing photos. It's like, but they're sharing old photos.
Oh, okay.
They're sharing photos from like 20 years, literally 20 years ago, when back in the 90s, when you had Fern Gully, the movie, to drive in the guilt of deforestation and all that crap. And it's like, it's been 20 years, and like if you look at a map of the Amazon, it's still green. It's still like super majority green.
Yeah, or is it like you're seeing like some of these quote unquote like like maps and stuff, and they're showing like where all the fires are. It's like they're showing the whole thing on fire. It's like that's not true. It's and yeah, like you said that there's a lot of them are old photos. And here's the other thing that's kind of wild and crazy is that there are forest fires, rainforests, our types of forest, kind of the evergreen type of forest. Forest fires are actually a natural occurrence. It happens, and
Right. It is.
it's while things burn down, it also helps. It's a natural occurrence that helps kind of promote regrowth. And like one thing I'll note, there was a I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not, but there was a show that was kind of like a documentary-ish type of series talking about kind of ghost towns. And there was this
Mm-hmm.
one like really like fancy, like it was I don't know if it was like colonists or whatever, like it was Europeans who had settled in Africa, and they had
Oh yeah, like the
tried to
Dutch,
like kind
right?
of.
The Afrikaners.
Yes, yeah, and they tried to like they kind of did the thing where they're cutting down rainforests and creating an area where they could build like kind of these really fancy like mansions and kind of build a town.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem became that the rainforest kept overcoming all it essentially like fought back, and it overtook these
Right. Right.
homes, and they ended up just abandoning it because it's like it was they could not keep up
Yeah, they
with
couldn't. They
with.
couldn't tame the jungle. I mean, case in point, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayas. Look at their civilization. Look at their civilizations. Like
Mhm.
completely overgrown.
Yeah,
Completely overgrown. At some point, they're like, they probably had the same. They probably ran into the same thing with these Afrikaners who thought that they'd be able to tame the jungle, but the jungle just ended up kicking their ass. And yes, they for a while they're able to keep it at bay, but who knows? Maybe eventually the real reason why they moved on from like their big megalithic cities was because the jungle was kicking their ass.
and and for me, like, okay, let's say like, yeah, it is something that's naturally occurring. It's like the rainforest will bounce back. It's we
Right.
kind of like, we I think there's a lot of people who have all this pseudoscience that think that they know things when they actually don't know anything, and then they sound the alarm and get people all panicked and shocked and awed about like what's going on,
Mhm.
and it's actually like it's really nothing really all that big to worry about.
Right. I mean, they were sounding the alarm back in the '90s.
Yeah, that was
They
what
were, yeah,
Captain
they were
Planet kept telling.
exactly. They're like, oh, like this much amount of rainforest is lost every single day due to clear cutting and farmers trying to get trying to make pasture land or whatever. But it's like it's still there. It's still
And it's
there.
still, and like there's it's just because like they're cutting down certain parts to create pasture land, that doesn't mean that like there's still vegetation there that's still providing the lungs of the earth.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. That's another
yeah.
thing. That's another thing. It's like that whole thing is like bullshit too.
And if we and our lungs have this, it's like, oh my god, it's like, there's other vegetation that like it'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. I
I
mean, there are
guarantee.
a bunch of there
Like,
are farms pump. There are farms. Those big corporate farms or whatever, like Monsanto or whatever that they're growing things that what that they're still plants, so they still take in carbon dioxide and expel oxygen.
yeah,
So it's like
I get. I guarantee, give it another 2 weeks, no one's gonna give you're not we're not gonna ever hear about this again, because it'll be like, oh well, I guess there's really. I mean, they'll probably still like occasionally post these pictures that like from 900 years ago that that don't that it's like, well, that's not happening right now. That was from a long time ago. It's like, if just
yeah. I
I
mean,
hate
and it's
people
like
so much.
and I know one person who's actually like started a fund to like I don't know send money or whatever. It's like who gets the money? Honestly, who
Well,
gets the
exactly.
money? Does the money go to the firefighters? Does it go to the government to give to the firefighters? Where's that money even going?
It's going to someone's pocket.
Right. I mean, it's like it'd be one thing if I knew that this person was gonna personally go down and deliver a check, to the firefighters or to the government or some, or and like make sure that that money, is being used correctly or whatever. But it's like, it,
Yeah.
that it's just it's like it's kind of makes it kind of stupefies me because it's like, and also one other thing, it doesn't even look like they're making that much. Their people are contributing all that much to begin with.
Yeah, well, they're contributing to the human fund.
Right. I mean, but
Remember
like,
that
I
from
think there's like a
Seinfeld?
specific target that they're like. I don't know if it's specifically this person that I know, or if they're like just piggybacking off of some other kind of organization. But like, like I think they have a set goal, but they're like only like like after I don't know when did the news break? Some like last weekend, right? This past weekend.
Well, it became like no. Well, here's the thing, because I was starting to see stuff with these stupid crap on the internet, and
Right. Yeah, me too.
it was just like all of a sudden it was just this wave of like all these. Oh, I mean, clearly leftist articles.
Mm-hmm.
It was like all talking about the Amazon. So already I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And and yeah, I don't. It started about like a week and a half ago, and then all of a sudden, like now it's really like the alarm. The news stations are the Amazon. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, let's when here's this. It was the same thing that happened with those Covington kids. Like when you all of a sudden you hear news that it's only this one thing and it's only like this one side, I'm always really skeptical because it's and it's kind of you know part of our time now, like where I'm very skeptical when I'm not hearing any like where it's all just like this alarm and like, oh, how could we, and like, oh, we're so terrible and this and that, and like, but there's no other actually like, let's actually talk about facts. What's going on? Clearly, like, there hasn't been you know it's alarmism, not reporting.
Right, right.
So
Because it's just like the whole like garbage island thing where they show you a picture of the seemingly terrible island of garbage, but they never show like an aerial shot of it. They never show you a satellite picture of it, even though they say that it's like the size of like Texas or whatever in the Pacific Ocean. And so
right,
it's like
and
they only show you like the small, like they only let you see through through the keyhole, you know.
right.
And so it's like, okay, you're letting me see something through a keyhole. But why don't you just open the door and let me, walk in and see it for how truly horrible it is? Because if it's truly horrible, yes, I would join you in fighting it, or I would join you in contributing, some money to, help provide support or whatever. Yeah, of course. But it's like you're not. You. Here's what this is great. What I heard someone uh, call this was like this is like a reboot of the old scare tactic. It's a reboot of like from the 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's the revenge of Captain Planet.
Yeah, it's a reboot of like the whole the rainforest is gonna go away forever if you don't give a nickel to Sally Struthers or whoever.
Oh God. So, but here's the thing, and I'm not saying that I don't care, because I mean,
No,
obviously, like
again,
we can,
neither am I. I'm
and
saying I want more information so I can make an informed decision. And if it is as horrible or as evil as you're making it out to be, then of course, yes, I want to help. I would help fight it. I would help spread awareness. I would, I even contribute some money, to support the firefighters or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Like and it's like all I want is like give me the facts so that like I can make an informed decision, and it's obviously it's because like I care. If this is actually if the whole thing is on fire, yeah, maybe that's a problem. Maybe we should take care of that and be like a better steward to like the things around us.
Mm-hmm.
But when like I said, it's most of our news and things that we see, it's alarmism, not reporting. It's not
Right,
actual
right.
news. It's not actual facts. It's alarmism, and the thing is, and that's unfortunately it's all about the ratings, and unfortunately, facts don't bring the ratings. It's
Yeah.
alarmism and
Ironically,
keeping
facts
you
don't bring in the green.
fearful. Yeah, which is I think and that's the unfortunate part because now we don't seem to get any actual like facts anymore, and we have
Hmm.
to, and now we end up feeling like conspiracy theorists because we have to go to these kind of alternative news sites that actually are doing what the mainstream media should be doing, and they're not.
Hmm. Absolutely. You know.
And you start putting out facts there, it's like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, no, actually, that's conspiracy theory. That's not real.
Right.
That's and yet you keep like promoting it as fact, yet it's not.
Right. Like
It's,
yeah, like the whole yeah, like you were saying how forest fires or wildfires or whatever you want to call them are a part of the natural cycle of of forest or woodland areas. Um, I remember there was a time when around my neck of the woods, we were having fires like pretty much every summer, like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago.
yeah, I remember
And
that too.
yeah, and like there's I mean, it didn't get anywhere near my home, but it did hit areas where I frequently drove past, or in my youth I used to spend a lot of time in, particularly in like the kind of mountainous outdoorsy kind of areas. And for a time, yeah, they were like black. They were blackened. The trees and the shrubbery were scorched. But the winter came and the rains came, and then the next spring it was green again.
Yeah,
Inexplicably, it was
it
inexplicably
was
green again. You
yeah, it was
know,
as lush as it ever was.
exactly. And
Now,
so
don't
people
get me
like when
wrong,
I
like
hear people
obviously,
like freaking out about like the rainforest, on fire or whatever. It's like, well, like yeah, you see all this smoke, yeah, and that seems horrible, but like how many fires are there actually?
and the other thing that people don't realize is that that's also a way to like for the soil to regenerate itself is you burn the soil to
Mm-hmm.
like when the soil is kind of like not so good or like it's not growing as it normally would, you burn it, and it for whatever I don't understand the science behind it exactly, but it helps to regenerate the soil and bring back nutrients into
Right.
it,
Well,
and
yeah, maybe
that's
carbon.
how it's that's possibly, yeah, I think that's probably what part of it, and that's how like these forests regenerate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the life cycle of these forested areas. Now
Mm-hmm.
the unfortunate part is now because we have people that are living in those areas now,
Mm-hmm.
that homes get burned down. Obviously nobody likes that. That's really sad. But then you these same people that live there, it's like they'll laugh at the people in Tornado Alley. It's like, and they laugh. It's like, well, we're gonna pick up and we're gonna rebuild, and they laugh at those people. It's like, well, you just did the same thing up in the fucking forest fire range. It's
Right. I
like,
mean, we know someone. We both know someone who's personally affected by fires. Because their parents' home burned down with all of their
yeah,
valued possessions. And I'm not talking about like necessarily like material stuff, but like sentimental value as well.
right, stuff
And
that can't be replaced,
I'm sorry.
stuff that can't be replaced.
Right, exactly. Like old like photos or heirlooms or keepsakes and things like that. And so, but like they weren't utterly destroyed by it. They kind of similarly to the attitudes of those people who live in tornado states, or or hurricane, or states that are prone to hurricanes. They just say, all right, well, we got hit. was bad, but we're gonna rebuild, and we'll just go on. We'll just keep living our lives.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and
But the
like, because I mean, sometimes when you're from a place, it's just something that kind of grown accustomed to, and you're able to build resilience, and kind of like a fighting spirit, as it were.
yeah, I mean that's kind of the American way. Is it's like
Yeah.
what stuff happens, we'll figure it out and we'll rebuild and we'll be bigger than better than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's but they always, like you're saying, it's like but forest fires are a natural thing. The unfortunate thing is, we do have people living up in those areas now, and the fact that he caught a lot of shit for it, but Trump was kind of calling California out for not maintaining the forest very well because they've allowed, because of the California regulations, they can't go out and clear up a lot of the dry brush and debris. So the forest fires have been elevated to a point where it gets so bad where it takes it took like a month to take out the last one. Um,
Right. Yeah, and
and
like yeah, because
it
there's like a
should
hands
never gotten.
off. There's like a hands off policy. The forest essentially become tinder boxes. And
Yeah, and so a natural thing ends up becoming like a something that you should only be like a week at most, and it kind of burns itself out. Becomes like it's just like as you said, a tinderbox. It's just gonna burn forever.
hmm because I think a lot of people confuse. I think they kind of conflate conservation with you know um, keeping things natural.
Eh,
When they think
but
like
yeah,
when
it's
you
like
if you don't do anything to the land, that's conserving it, that's keeping it as it is, and it's like keeping it natural. It's like, well, but fire is natural. Fire is a completely natural thing that happens within nature. Yes, it can be destructive, but it's also, again, like you were saying, it also helps renew life. And so,
yeah,
but I think what people don't understand is conservation is not passive. It's active. It's proactive, actually.
right. And if you really think about it, because as Christians, we're called to be. We're still, even though that the world and ourselves were fallen, we are still required to be stewards of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And while back in the times of the Garden of Eden, where it was work, but it was easy. There was not that backbreaking labor necessary. Now it does take a lot of painstaking, backbreaking labor to make sure that we're caring for the planet. And so people get upset about like all the hunting and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
hunting is actually a way to help conserve. If you care about like plant life and all the stuff that you
Right. It's
see
a way
out in
to
nature.
ensure there's enough resources for the animals. Because I mean, like white-tailed deer populations have exploded since since a lot of states have kind of curtailed hunting, and so like and now like they you hear about deers like getting hit and like at a more frequent rate. It's like, well, because there's more of them.
And they destroy everything. They steal all the vegetation for that's out there, like, and they will eat until their bellies are explode
Yeah, until
almost. I mean, that's how much.
until they gorge themselves and they can't like move. Yeah, because
Yeah,
they'll just
and
keep
so like,
eating, right? And so yeah, and then in a
those
weird way they become like this invasive species.
right, and it's not only is it bad for the deer, because there's less resources to go around, but it's bad for all the other animal populations,
Right.
and
Yeah, like
it's
the,
bad
the,
for
the
everyone
whole food
around.
chain thing that does come into play here.
Exactly, and then you have the same problem in Florida with the goddamn gators everywhere. I mean,
Mm.
yes, at one point, can you believe this? That gators were actually almost endangered species in Florida until like they kind of like started to bring it back, and now it's gone fucking insane. I mean, they're everywhere,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like they
and
actually like they have a show on History Channel called Swamp People where they hunt gators.
yeah, oh,
You
there's
know,
a
like 30 years ago,
they don't
yeah,
have
30 years ago, alligators were on the endangered species list. But now, because we kind of curtailed the harvesting of alligators. Their population exploded, and now like they're becoming a nuisance where there are people are find them in their backyards, or like baby alligators are crawling through sewer pipes and up through toilets and things like that.
I can't believe that was a real thing, but that actually was a real thing.
Yeah.
You think it's like, oh, that's just a people being silly, but it's
Yeah, that's
like
just some
no,
like
that
urban
fucking
legend or something, but it's like, nah, that shit happens.
yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, it's like people are having to like put over like chain link grates over their pools, like so that the
Mm-hmm.
gators don't swim in there. And and if I might be mistaken, but I think they have like a year round like unlimited tag on gators where it's like just fucking kill them. It doesn't matter. Just get them out of here because they're almost like they're like extremely dangerous rats where like I think
Yeah.
there's probably more gators than people. That's the thing, like because there's
Yeah,
so
because
many like just hidden swamps and everywhere. It's like just
like
fucking kill them.
because they lay like, I don't know, like what, maybe like 7 to like 15 eggs, like average for an alligator. I think that's what it was.
They're the modern day dinosaur. Oh my god, they're fucking
Yeah,
horrific. Like
they're
man,
terrifying.
I
Oh,
would.
have you seen that movie
I
Crawl?
no, I haven't.
It's actually a good movie, and Crawl is what this century is what Jaws was for the last century.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
think of any
but it's
animal
actually a
that's
good
out there.
movie. It's like it tells a complete story. And even though the main character is a woman, I still interestingly enough, I was rooting for her.
Yeah, and those fuckers are fast.
Oh yeah,
They're
well
so fast.
there's this one scene like kind of in the beginning where, um, what is it? Like the alligator, like gets the clamps down on the girl's, I forget which limb, but um, the alligator clamps down on it and then goes into a roll underwater, and it's like that's fucking frightening.
Yeah,
Just
because
like
they'll try to like snap your bones with like because they're with their jaw power, and then they'll flip you around under the water to suffocate you to kill you, so
right,
that
yeah, and
you
like yeah, it's
become
like disorient. That's the gator roll. Like they do like the spin cycle thing, and like to disorient you, or just to rip off your limb.
god damn that
And my
fucking
God,
alligators.
I was like, I saw, even though it was just a depiction, that was freaking terrifying.
But that's the thing. That's real. That's exactly what they do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's oh my god, those things are. I don't know of all like the kind of terrifying creatures that are out there. That's one of them. Like that and like the giant grizzly bears, or
Mm-hmm.
or like a maybe not a lion, but definitely tigers are fucking horrifying too.
Oh yeah, because like you can try and like say you're running away from a tiger and you get to a river and you think that you're safe because you can swim across the river and the tiger won't swim across the river. Nah, because tigers like water. They're like the only
Yeah.
felines that
Oh,
actually like water.
yeah. As far as like animals eating humans deaths, hippos actually reign supreme.
Oh, right. Hippos are vicious little fuckers. Or, not little, but...
Yeah, God damn, like, and I would have, as a kid, like, we're given all this fucking hungry hippos
Right. Or
and,
Fantasia.
the goddamn...
Okay, Fantasia
Yeah,
was a psyop. Fantasia was a psyop to make us think that
yeah.
hippos were like these cuddly little
Oh,
ballerina dancers.
hippos are so... Yeah, it's like, no, stay the fuck away from hippos. Like, they will kill you. They are aggressive, and they're aggressive, too. They will chase after you. They will hunt you down and eat you.
Yeah, they'll fuck shit up.
When I found that out, I was like, what? Blew my mind. It's like, oh, another one of the... No, it's like, God damn, I've been lied to my whole life.
Oh, man. Yeah, man, I love doing nocturnal transmissions, especially when we have like nothing really planned to talk about. So we always, have like these really interesting conversations. First we're talking about Amazon, and then we're like talking about like horrific, really terrifying animals.
Yeah, that's why people tune in. I think because we have these weird random discussions.
I know. Yeah. Oh yeah, because this is okay. Here's a recap of the thread of how it went down. Amazon conservation, fucking scary animals.
Yep. That's pretty much how Andy and I have discussions when we're at the bar or anything like that. Just kind of
pretty much. Yeah, we'll start off saying like really kind of like saying, "Oh man, this is so stupid," and all of a sudden it's like, "Man, isn't chocolate great?"
Yeah. It's like, how did we get to this tangent?
Yeah. Oh well, speaking of delicious things, have you heard about this new chicken sandwich that Popeye came out with?
That's also been another like internet meme that's been coming out, and like you have all these like the damn wars from all these like fast food places like talking about chicken sandwiches and shit. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I know. Like chicken is like really coming back in a really big way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I think because I think Popeyes came out with their chicken sandwich in response to like the whole Chick-fil-A thing. But I'm hearing really good things about this sandwich.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too. And now don't get me wrong, I like Popeyes. I would say, as far as like kind of like the chain fast food like chicken places, like for me it's Church's, Popeyes, KFC. If I'm really desperate.
I still haven't had Church's.
Church's is pretty damn good, man.
That's what I keep hearing. I know. That's why I'm really disappointed with myself because I still haven't had Church's chicken, but I hear it's delicious.
I'm obviously specifically talking about fried chicken, like because then you could really go down the rabbit hole of like grilled chicken, all that stuff.
But for the sake of this, conversation, we'll just stick with fried chicken.
And so yeah, like I guess they came out with a chicken sandwich. I haven't been to Popeyes in a while, so I didn't know anything about this.
Well, yeah, it's gonna walk me. And interestingly enough, my church is right in walking distance to a Popeyes, and Sunday, it was crazy, because the Popeyes is in like this small little plaza place with very like limited parking, and that parking lot was packed with people.
Oh well, maybe that. I think the other thing is too. Maybe they're taking advantage of like. Chick-fil-A being closed on Sundays, and so
absolutely. Yeah, there was like, it was that meme where they're like, I think Popeyes was taking pot shots at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A had, put up something on like, their like sign, and then Popeye said like, well, people still like want to eat chicken on Sunday.
Right. Yeah, it was pretty funny. I'll admit. Like, dude, like Saturday, it's fucking nuts at Chick-fil-A. Never go on a Saturday.
Yeah. Oh my god. I would have. Yeah. It sucks too because like sometimes I want a Chick-fil-A sandwich on a Sunday, and it's like, damn it, they're closed.
Yeah, because I really enjoy their breakfast. So like when I have like those like really early shifts at work, once I'm done, I'm like, fuck, I can go to Chick-fil-A and grab their breakfast, because it's of the fast food places really underrated for their breakfast. I think it's pretty damn good. You get the chicken, egg, and cheese bagel. Oof.
But by the by, McDonald's has their own chicken breakfast sandwiches.
I know. Okay, so when
It's like it comes
they've always
on
had like
either
chicken.
like a McMuffin or a biscuit.
Yeah, because back, so they've changed up, like they've had several different types of chicken sandwiches. It's through the course of their. They had a kind of like for a while, which, and something I actually really liked was their Southern style chicken sandwich, which is I think they were. I don't know if they were trying to compete with like Chick-fil-A or whatever, but like it I thought it was pretty good. A lot of people didn't like it, so it went away. But then they've always had like the McChicken and all this other stuff, and those aren't bad. Maybe I'll try their chicken breakfast sandwich there. I'm a sucker for the sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin and the bacon, egg, and cheese
Oh yeah,
McGriddle.
yeah,
Those are
yeah.
my two.
Yeah, sausage McMuffin is my jam.
Yeah, it's hard to beat it, man. Like it just
Yeah.
that.
Although, oh yeah, one of my favorite sandwich places recently opened up near my place, Capriati's, and
Never.
they have this one sandwich called the Bobby, and it's basically Thanksgiving dinner in a bun.
Oh.
Yes, it's turkey, stuffing, and cranberry sauce.
Oh. Dude, I'm there.
Yeah, yeah, and like you could probably grab one like on your way home from work.
I should do that.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll do that.
it's
Maybe
real
we'll do
good.
that one day. That sounds fucking delicious.
Oh yeah, and get it hot. I mean, I've had it. I've before. I don't think they ever offered it hot, but and regardless, it's still good. But once they offered it in like hot form, woo.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really good. Have you ever been to another? Okay, let's another place talking about chicken sandwiches. Have you been to Howlin' Ray's in Chinatown?
No, but I've only heard bad things about it.
You've heard bad things about it?
No, not well. I
Well,
mean, not like bad as in bad. But it's like people go there. It's like they have really bad experience with like the really hot. They're like
oh
the kind of
well,
the melt off your face kind of hot.
that they're not joking about that.
Yeah.
It's get the mild, because the mild, because I
Yeah, because
went for
every
like
person that I've seen that's done a video, like a react video to that, it's like they're like dying. They're like these end up at the end of the video, they end up crying.
because I went with I was saying like, oh, it's, I thought it was fairly typical of like, oh, yeah, you have, and I've been around the block, I know spicy food. It's like, well, I'm not gonna go to like the the 6 alarm spiciness, because that I'm not gonna enjoy that. And I usually like, okay, like medium is usually a pretty work, because I don't want it too mild, because then it's like it kind of loses a little flavor,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to go too hot because I want to enjoy the sandwich. So I
Right.
was like, all right, I'm gonna go medium. That seems pretty like a good kind of middle of the road. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, the medium was nearly melted my face off. But it was still, but it was still really good. I was like, oh, and thank God I ordered the extra pickles,
Uh-huh.
because that
Oh
saved
yeah,
me.
you need something to diffuse the situation.
Yeah, I made sure I got extra pickles, and that saved me. But next time I go, I'm going mild. I'm not gonna be a hero.
I know. I was like, I kind of want to try it just for the sake of wanting, being able to say yes, I tried it, and even if I, end up being like a little bitch about it, then at least I can still say that I tried it.
It is a bit of a wait.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right, right,
it
right, right.
that, and you know me, I fucking hate waiting in line. But this is a place that's actually worth the wait. Yeah, because I took one of my students there after church,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we it was probably about like an hour and a half wait.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but yeah, it was worth it. We had a good time.
Mm.
And the other thing is, like, since it's in Chinatown too, so there's a little
Yeah.
like kiosk in the middle there with a that they sell like pork buns and stuff. So
Mm.
if you
Oh,
wanna,
yeah. I went to the Bao House that's right next to Howlin' Ray's before.
yeah,
Uh, but it's the celebrity chef like Eddie Wong's author of Fresh Off the Boat, the memoir. Um,
yeah,
yeah, but I was to be honest, I wasn't that impressed.
you weren't that
I
impressive
wasn't that
with
impressed.
the
I think yeah, there was especially the pork belly, like I think it was like called like the Chairman Mao
mm,
Bao or something. I don't know, something like that. But
what a name.
yeah, I was like very underwhelmed by the pork belly. But I forget, like it was basically a meatball, but they called it a dumpling. But that bao, that was actually really good. That was actually very tasty.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can't.
You know,
Yeah, like their signature bao, like the chairman or whatever that they call it, the pork belly.
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's like whatever's. But the dumpling or like the meatball kind of bao, yeah, I totally recommend that one. That one was tasty.
Hmm. That
Yeah.
sounds really
Although
good,
yeah, and
actually.
although they served it with taro fries, I wasn't a big fan.
Hmm. So is it like it's not like a super traditional place? It's more of like a fusion there.
Yeah, or yeah, it's like reimagining.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
okay.
I mean I'm not gonna say that it's authentic flavors or whatever, but it's definitely
Where
not like
it's not a fusion, but it's not like a super traditional. It's more of, yeah, like you said, a reinventing. It's a kind of doing things a little differently.
yeah, just like slightly less traditional as
That's
I
actually
would say.
going back to like when we went to Soberitos. That's actually probably a better way to describe that place. It's more of a reimagining more than not because I didn't really see anything like you know fully like American on the
Mm-hmm.
menu,
Right.
but it wasn't like a traditional Mexican place either.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Reimagining.
I like that word actually. That's a better way to describe it.
Mm. I know. I'm gonna start using that more often. You heard it here first. I coined it. No one else can have it except me.
And but yeah, no, I did remember seeing all those memes about Popeye's chicken sandwiches and stuff, and that seems like that's gone off the rails.
Yeah, I think I
The
want to go and yeah, I think I definitely am gonna go and try it. Especially since there's not one super close by to me, but I can still, I can still get there.
yeah,
And then also, if I can't get it, if I can't get to it the rest of this week, I can always wait until I head to church because it's walking distance from my church,
there you go.
right? And so then
The
yeah, I don't have to worry about parking or whatever.
always good, always a good way to go.
Hmm.
Let's see what else. What else I did this week? For I don't know, for whatever reason, like well, obviously I watched the movie for the review, but I've been kind of just diving into some other like films, kind of trying to check stuff off my list a little bit,
Hmm.
just of films that like, oh, that looks interesting, or I was like, I know this film, like I know kind of all the tropes, but I've actually never sat down and watched it.
Hmm.
And I think they have a bunch of I don't know if it was just recently that these movies have been added on Netflix, but a bunch of Martin Scorsese films have been put up there.
Mm-hmm.
And a movie that I realized that I've never watched was Taxi Driver.
Oh.
Have you ever seen Taxi Driver, Andy?
I've only seen little bits and pieces that I've seen on TV, but no, I haven't. I haven't like actually sat down and watched Taxi Driver before.
It was really interesting. It, I was telling people at work today, I was like, yeah, because it got a little slow. I was like, yeah, no, I decided to. I don't know why I had never seen it before. Or I've never actually sat down and seen it, but I watched Taxi Driver. Like, it's like you haven't seen it yet. What was wrong? It's like, hey, I rectified it. I went, I went and watched it. Like, and like I said, it's not like I don't know anything about the film. I know, like, obviously, like, you're talking to me.
Right, right,
Kind
yeah.
of
The famous line where, like, yeah,
yeah.
where he's like, kind of like talking to himself
And
in the mirror, like as if like he was being, approached or accosted by some like street punks, and he goes through like that whole monologue is like, where like this is what I'm gonna say if some punks try to mess with me.
right, and it was the whole movie was kind of like uh, the character that Robert De Niro plays, Travis Bickle. He is uh, kind of an odd character.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of where he's coming back from Vietnam. He's a Marine, so
Mm-hmm.
clearly the war has affected him in a lot of ways, and
Right.
he's isolated himself. He is suffers from insomnia. And then this is also a time where New York was a complete shithole.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of going back to that direction, but it was really bad back in the
Right.
'70s, and it was all the areas where they were kind of filming in New York. Like a lot of those places were like where they were shooting the scenes. That was all abandoned or abandoned homes and apartments and stuff that they were filming in
Mm-hmm.
that they were using as a set piece because nobody was there. New York, that part of New York was almost bankrupt. They almost went bankrupt,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, and you kind of see like his character to what he was saying is like, oh, just the dirt and just everything about this city is just like the it's a cesspool. Like everyone's corrupt and um, they're screwed up, and it bugs me. And it's like clear the guy like you see kind of like the breakdown, like he's kind of like losing it, like and he becomes infatuated with this girl who I don't know if he's ever been on a date before with any. It's kind of like the thing where like he thinks everyone's like a terrible person, and it's like he sees someone that like he sees is kind of like himself,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he asks her out. And I'm wondering if he's like never been on a date before because he asks her out, she accepts, and he takes her to a porno, one of the porn theaters. Like, wow. Initially she's like, this is a dirty movie, and it's like, but she goes with him, and and it seems like it's kind of playing as like, oh, I'm very intrigued by this guy. Like, well, let's see where this
What?
goes. And yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Is like everything up to that point is like she was intrigued by like his weird quirks that he had.
Yeah. So okay.
Uh,
So it's like eccentricities.
right, and then all of a sudden she goes they start watching the film, and she is disgusted by the film,
Uh huh.
as she should have been because it was horrifying.
Right.
It was and it wasn't like some like kind of what we would see like if you watch like Pornhub or something like that. It was some weird foreign like almost documentary thing. Like it was fucking weird what he was watching. It was almost like some sort of like foreign avant-garde pornography film. It was weird. So
It's like one of
she's
those like
discussed
movies where it's like they say it's a regular movie, but they actually have like penetration in the love scenes.
some yeah. It's kind of it was, but it was even more so than that. It was so weird. It just it was weird.
Okay, I'll take
Um,
your word for it.
yeah, I would have been like let's get the fuck out of here. But she's like, she's obviously disgusted, as she should have been. She ends up like taking off, and he's like, "Hey, you should have said something. If you didn't like it, we would have gone somewhere else. You could have just said something." And he's trying to like win her back, and he ends up failing, and that's it. Kind of like he's like, "Oh, fuck her," and it's like, all right, and then he kind of keeps going back to like how he was, and it's like, well, now he's starting. Then there was this, one of his cab fares who's kind of like also a crazed maniac who's spying on his wife who's cheating on him.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about all the stuff that he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna fucking kill her. I'm gonna go fucking kill that guy, and then say bada bing, bada boom. Hey, it's kind of it's like he's like, and De Niro's or Travis is just like, okay, kind of like looking at him in this weird way, and that's like where you start to see the descent into like madness. And he also meets a extremely young Jodie Foster, who is a
Right.
prostitute in this.
Oh,
And
jeez. Yeah, and this is the movie that what was it?
John
Wasn't this the
Hinckley,
movie that who was that? The guy that almost killed Reagan.
yeah, it was John Hinckley. Yeah, this is This is supposedly the film that inspired him.
Wait, who was it again?
John Hinckley Jr.
John Hinckley Jr. That's right.
Yeah, for some reason I always mix up like Ed Begley Jr. and John Hinckley Jr. I don't know why I always merge those two names together, but yeah, it's
yeah. It's funny because Ed Begley Jr. is kind of a douche.
yeah, he is.
Yeah. No, because I mean, I say this because I mean, one, he has a reputation for being a douche. But two, I kind of experienced a little bit of it. So I remember one time a friend of mine, she was part of this showcase at Valley College,
Mm-hmm.
and what was it? Ed Begley Jr. was like kind of the MC
Oh,
for
okay.
for that. Yeah, and it was after a performance, and he was coming back onto the stage, to do a spiel and announce the next performer. But he's as he's climbing up the stairs, he trips and he stumbles and and it's totally noticeable, right? Everyone saw him fall, and he doesn't acknowledge it at all. Even though he kind of like makes like even though he kind of makes like a like he when he hits the stairs, there's kind of like a boom sound, and yet he just like picks himself up and it's like, oh, wasn't that a great performance? Wasn't that a great performance? And like, oh, next we have like he doesn't even acknowledge it,
Wow.
and everybody saw it. Everybody saw it. And you might be thinking like, oh, that how does that make him a douche? It's like because he doesn't acknowledge that he messed up.
Right.
He like everybody in that auditorium saw him fall. It's not like he was like kind of hidden away. Like people saw him.
Well, they even make fun of that in The Simpsons, and Ed Begley Jr. was a voice actor on The Simpsons for an
Oh,
episode.
right. When Homer changes his name,
Yeah, to Max Power.
Max Power, yeah, and it's like and then they're all gonna go to some like what is it, demonstration or something, and then they're all getting onto the bus, and it's like, oh hey, come on, Ed Begley Jr. It's like we saved you a seat. It's like, oh, it's okay. I have this go kart here that runs on my own self satisfaction, and he puts it on. It's like and he's like takes off.
I love
Oh,
it. Oh man,
oh. It runs off
that's
my own self satisfaction. Oh.
so he must know that he's also a douche because that's the fact that he like, yeah, fine, I'll say that line. Fuck it.
Right? Yeah.
Because it wasn't some voice actor that was impersonating Ed Begley Jr. It actually was
Yeah, it was
him.
actually Ed Begley Jr. In the credit that says Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so there was but yeah, so that was that movie inspired John Hinckley Jr. and it was you could almost say that like although he was kind of a crazy person, like he did do like a good thing at the end because he ended up like killing the people that were pimping out Jodie Foster's character Iris. He killed all of them, and that was as traumatizing as that must have been for her. You know, it kind of prompted her to go back home and kind of turn things around. So I'm kind of fine with him. I think it was more of like he was affected by this, you know, the corruption and evil that was in the city, and his going and taking action against, you know, something like that to take down like people who are, you know, pimping out children for sex. You know, it's like taking them out. Like it may have like kind of like revitalized him in a sense. Like I promoted, you know, I dished out some justice that wasn't being done.
Right.
Now, how killing that politician would have done something about it, I have no idea. Because he did try to assassinate one of the politicians uh, that was there, but he didn't go through with it because he got caught. But he ended up doing some good, and it kind of like resets him in a sense. So I don't know, weird movie, but it's obviously it is a very famous movie, so
Right.
why not watch it, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of a surprise impromptu review of Taxi Driver.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a movie. Yeah, I should. Yeah, I definitely need to check out.
But it's still like pretty early on in Scorsese's career. I think it's like maybe like
Is
that was probably like his like third or fourth movie or something like that. Like because I did watch one of his first ones called Mean Streets as well. Also, well, both those films, Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, had Robert De Niro and Harvey Keitel in both of them.
it was Taxi Driver before or after Bull Run?
That's a good question. I don't remember. Also, a movie I haven't seen.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
Actually, well, I'm gonna look that up right now. Hold on, so it's 2 seconds. Let me see what Bull Run was, because that's actually a film that's on my list too to watch. Because I think that's I hear that's actually like a really good movie, but I have not seen it.
Right. I don't know if it's was it based on the exploits of a boxer? I forget.
Yes,
Yeah, I
that's
forget. Like,
my
yeah, there's
understanding.
supposed to be like some like really famous fight. I forget who the two fighters were though. But
Oh, come on. Why is it, no, come on. Just saw it the other day. Why am I... Let's see, hold on a second, let me go back. It's giving me, like, all these other movies that, like, it's like, no, it's giving me, like, Bull Durham. It's like, no, I don't, I'm not looking at Bull Durham. Like, that's the wrong film. Let me do this real quick. Also, a movie that stars Robert De Niro. Yeah, he was like as much as he is a crazy person. But he actually did have a bunch of like, especially early in his career, he had a lot of really good films under his belt. He was really good. I think he's a pretty good actor.
yeah, absolutely. You know, yeah. Hey, is Bronx Tale like, somewhat loosely based on his life? 'Cause I think he wrote and directed it.
That I don't know. That's also a movie I have not seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to watch it to tell you. God, where the hell is it? I just saw it. Like I had it. Um, I wonder if I had it under. Let's see, under which because there was a. I had a. Just hold on a second. Let me
You want me to
have
look it
fun
up real
watching me
fast?
look up
All right.
stuff. have have fun watching me look up stuff.
Hmm.
But no, it was funny. Like while I was looking up some of these movies and stuff, but I was getting
Oh
ready
no, yeah,
to
Raging Bull came out after Taxi Driver.
Raging Bull. That's not Bull Run. That was the problem. I was looking up the wrong. It was Raging Bull. Um, I'm stupid. It's been a long time.
It's cool. Yeah, but Raging Bull came out in 1980, and Taxi Driver was in 1976.
Yeah. So this Raging Bull was after Taxi Driver,
Mm-hmm.
and this one was. Let's see. It was. What was the boxer that he was representing? Like, or was it just like was it like a fictional boxer or because it was his.
Oh, Life of Boxer Jake LaMotta.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, this will definitely be a movie I watch as well.
Jake LaMotta, one of the best chins in boxing history, and over 110 fights against the greatest middleweights in history. LaMotta was only knocked the canvas once in his entire 14-year career.
Interesting.
Shit, he's the first. Oh wow, he's the first fighter to defeat Sugar Ray Robinson.
Oh wow. Okay. That's an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now I'll admit like that my boxing knowledge is not the best, but I do hear that Raging Bull is a really good film.
Yeah. I hear like it's one of the most compelling like kind of fight choreographies ever put to film.
Oh, it's funny because this came after because Rocky came out what 76 the first one.
I believe so. Yeah. Sometime in the late
Yeah,
'70s.
I think so. I'm wondering if that kind of Rocky kind of broke that wall, and so that became kind of a popular genre. Although this is a semi true, kind of a true story that they're talking
Right.
about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's um, yeah, that's like that might be an because there's quite a few boxing movies out there, aren't there? Like there's
Yeah.
Raging Bull, there's Rocky, you got was it Million Dollar Baby?
Mm-hmm.
What was God, there was another one. Cool, because I count like the all the the Creed series. That's also kind of part of the Rocky
Yeah, it's
line.
under the umbrella of Rocky. So, um,
Trying to think of the what the other like famous boxing film was. I know there's
oh,
another one that I'm not
kind
thinking.
of under the radar boxing movie is Annapolis.
I haven't seen that one.
What was it? James Franco and Tyrese. They play naval academy cadets, and at the end of the year, whatever, there's like this boxing tournament that they put on,
Hmm.
and it comes down to James Franco's character and Tyrese's characters. Tyrese is like the kind of like the senior classman to James Franco's younger underclassman. It's like and James Franco's character is from the wrong side of the tracks, and he has something to prove. But Tyrese's character is also he was enlisted, and like he was enlisted, and he was a Marine for 3 years, and he was recommended to by by his superiors to go to attend the Naval Academy and become an officer.
I see. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll have
but
to check
but
that
in
out.
terms of I think it's a pretty interesting boxing film.
Well, kind of, since we're on this line, before we get to
Mm-hmm.
the movie review, what are some films that you have in your mind that like you haven't watched yet that you would love to, that you're like really excited to watch? Do you think? Is there anything in your mind that like, man, I how have I not watched this film yet?
Mm, I don't know. I'm a big epic kind of guy, so I still haven't seen Lawrence of Arabia.
That's on my list. Yeah, that's one that I'm like dying to see. I have it. Like it's on my computer. I'm raring to go to watch it.
Right.
I just haven't
Yeah.
done it yet.
Yeah. So I think
You
I think right. Yeah.
like those big
That's
long like 4 hour long movies, those that type of epics like that. That's the kind of
well,
like the
just in
genre
terms
that.
like not necessarily in terms of length, but I mean I know back in those days those epics were like almost up to and almost that long.
Right.
But yeah, I just really like that genre, of epics. You know, what is it? Like the old Ben Hur, or
That's
Ten
a good one.
Commandments. Lawrence of Arabia, of course. Just those epics.
So like now outside of Lawrence of Arabia, have you seen the old Ben Hur and Ten Commandments?
Well, Ten Commandments, yes, but not Ben Hur. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't actually. Again, I haven't actually sat down and watched the entire thing straight through.
Oh well, we that might be a film that's coming up very soon on this live stream.
Ah, yes, that's right. That is right.
But you'll have to wait. But for you fans, you'll have to wait and see if that comes up soon.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
that's interesting. Yeah. So like Lawrence of Arabia is one that's out there for me. Um, I've been actually like a movie that I'm kind of dying to see that it's on my list is also a
Mhm.
silent film called Metropolis. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I've caught I've caught pieces of it, but I actually want to like sit down and watch the whole thing. Obviously with silent films, you have to like really pay attention because if you if you're just you'll be missing dialogue, or the dialogue screens if you're not paying attention. So that's up there for me. And the unfortunate part is like that it's been restored for the most part. Like what we do have has been restored, and but we're still missing bits and pieces of it. So
Hmm.
it's not a complete film, but they've done the best that they can in restoring it, and that's kind of the sad part. Is like a lot of these old silent films, they just were not preserved well,
Hmm.
and so a lot of them are just lost to time. But thankfully, like movies like Metropolis and Phantom of the Opera have been restored and preserved finally, so we're able to get them. So that's definitely up there for me. Um, let's see what's another one that I haven't. Well, recently, like I guess, even with like some of the big directors that we've done, like Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, um, who else? Christopher Nolan. There's a few films like from those guys I haven't seen yet. Um, I got one queued up to watch called Rope from Alfred Hitchcock, which is the that how he goes about filming that was probably the inspiration for the film Birdman, where it's all kind of
Oh yeah,
shot in
yeah.
one
Oh yeah.
shot.
That like that. I mean, it's not exactly one cut because he puts in little things
Thin
that yeah, like little things that cover the that fill up the frame to kind of have like a cut point and then just and so you could just like start from and then start up the next scene from there and yeah.
right, yeah, because they had
Yeah,
a they had
I'm sure Birdman does similar things, but just better technology.
exactly. But that so I'm kind of excited to watch that. Plus, it seems like an intriguing story. So there's that. I don't think I've ever seen Vertigo for some reason, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna probably watch that. Um, there's a few of the Kubrick films I haven't seen. I haven't seen Lolita, so it sounds really disturbing. So, but it might be
Mm-hmm.
pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm pretty sure that there's you know he Kubrick is so good at using symbolism, so I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
there's something that we can I think he takes away from like what he knows from just life that he's either that he's been a part of or just whatever. But I think that's gonna be an interesting film to watch. So there's that. Was it Christopher Nolan? There's like one Nolan film that for some reason I haven't seen. I'm drawing a blank on it on the name, but it was I think like right after Memento. It was like his next film after that he did, and I haven't seen that one yet. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those are probably films that like I'm pretty excited to see. And then there's so many more that I'm just like, oh, it's like that seems interesting, or how have I not come across this yet? And that's a great part about film. There's so many to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. With all that, kind of teeing us up for our movie review, let's get into that. Um, and this week, our movie for this week is Clash of the Titans from 1981, starring what's his face, Harry
Harry
Hamlin.
Ham
Harry Hamlin.
Harry
Harry, goddamn him. I'm just all right. Let me just give a quick synopsis. Perseus, son of the Greek god Zeus, grows up to on a deserted island. His his destiny is to marry Princess Andromeda, who will someday rule the city of Joppa. But as long as the satyr Calibus, who uses a giant vulture to kidnap Andromeda's soul every night, is alive, no one can marry her. Perseus travels to Joppa, where he must defeat Calibus and other mythological monsters to rescue Andromeda.
Yep,
Oh,
that's
Ellie,
and
by the way, Zeus is played by Laurence Olivier.
who is also in Lawrence of Arabia.
Exactly. Yeah. It all
There you
it
go.
all comes back full circle.
Who is in the remake was also played by Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's.
But
Yeah,
so
release the Kraken.
already in I like this film way better than last week because hey, it has
Oh
a
yeah.
story. Well,
Yes,
I
because
mean, similar
there's an
to
actual story this time.
similar to like Jason and the Argonauts, it's based off of
Yeah, the
Greek
Greek myth
mythology,
of
which
the hero Perseus, son
yeah,
of Zeus.
and it's just kind of like it's a tale of tragedy. Yet there's also like a lot of redemption, vengeance, jealousy, jealousy amongst the gods,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like how that jealousy and rage kind of plays within like how uh, because the gods are jealous of one another or pissed off
Right.
with one another, they battle it out using mankind, and
Right.
mankind is kind
Because
of the playthings or for the
right. Right.
to
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's perfectly.
the
I kind of. I think Jason and the Argonauts used that motif too, and it's not surprising that it kind of there's like a that it appears in this movie because again because we're doing Ray Harryhausen movies this month. that there'd be some overlap, but like the idea of humans being like these like little either like chess pieces or little figurines that are that are able to be manipulated by the gods.
Well, that's also like, I mean, that's a common trope in Greek mythology too.
Right.
But like,
I think the
as far
specific way that that they're depicted in in the movies is just indicative of Harryhausen's
yeah,
involvement.
that I would agree with. Yeah, because we don't see like an actual chessboard in in Greek mythology, but this is how Harryhausen depicted it, how he saw it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember watching this movie as a young man, particularly in high school, because uh, I think in my English or literature class, we were doing Greek myths. We did I think we did the Odyssey, or maybe it was the Iliad, but or regardless, our teacher played this movie for us. Because it was again about a Greek myth, so it was right within the wheelhouse.
Right.
But yeah, I remember enjoying this movie. Even back then, and even today, I still enjoyed the movie.
So I saw the new adaptation of it with Liam Neeson, and I think it was the guy that was in the Spartacus show. I think he's dead now.
Oh no, he was in Avatar. Sam Worthington.
That's it. Okay, I get those two guys mixed up. They kind of look
They
alike.
do look very
I bet.
similar, though. I know what you're talking about. They do look
Yeah.
very similar.
Um, but yeah. So I mean, so I saw that one, and it's like I said, um, I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing there's like, oh, I didn't realize that there was one from the 80s. So this is actually my first time watching the 80s version of it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is, I think this is the last of Harryhausen's film. I think this is the last one
Right.
that
This
he
is the
ever did.
last film in his filmography. This is the last film he worked on.
Yeah. And it is a perfection of his stop motion
Right.
animation. I mean, it's
All of
just,
his techniques. It's all the refinements that he did, like in all the other movies and and all the other like little projects that he's did. Little refinements here and there, and like it culminates in Clash of the Titans.
yeah. And, it's obviously like when the remake was done, there was no stop motion. Because we have CG and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't bad, but just to think about what was accomplished in this with the stop motion animation, and um, it was just it's one of the best ones. It's easily I think his best, but I think it's one of the best stop motion um, sequences in a film that I've ever seen. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the creature design, like especially like when they were fighting the giant scorpions, that I think like the synchronization was really great. You actually
Right,
believe, and I think like they got the lighting down like pretty spot on. So like it looked like the giant scorpions were in the same um, frame as the human actors, and
right, and you feel like they're actually fighting
right, yeah,
these.
exactly. So they were reacting like they're reacting to like or like they did the motion for the scorpion to like to perfectly sync up with like the reaction of the actor, and so yeah, like very good like very good technique on display in this movie.
Yeah, and well, in through this month, we've gone from going and seeing one of his very early films, Jason the Argonaut, which is really good,
Mm-hmm.
to his last piece, and you see the progress. Even when we watched 1 Million BC, we saw the because that was 3 years after Jason the
Right, yeah.
Argonaut, so we
Throughout
went
this, yeah,
and this is
exactly.
like we see the perfection, and
Right,
it's like
right.
kind of like a good kind of like salute to the end of. And it doesn't hurt that like all the characters I think were portrayed very well. it's a it's a story, and there's really not that much that you have to do as far as story wise because the story is already there. So
Mm-hmm.
you're able to kind of like play around more with the cinematography and casting like the right characters that can play these guys. And I will say that some of the musical choices were for the soundtrack were a little odd. If
Mm.
I felt like I was like some of the more cheery tones in the film,
Uh-huh.
like as far as like like through the credit scene, and there's a couple of points like where it's kind of like a happier moments. It felt like I was watching like Never Ending Story. It was just the way the music was played up. It's like, or it felt like I was watching some like '80s sitcom or something like that.
Right.
Um, well, the soundtrack was done, I think, by the London Symphony Orchestra. If I saw the credits correctly, and but overall, like the soundtrack was really good too for it. And yeah, it's a great story, and just learning, seeing the stories of Perseus and Andromeda and the Greek gods come to life. Were It's really cool. Now, a couple of funny things that I had about that I thought about the film. The one really odd part that made me laugh really hard was when Poseidon was un- releasing the Kraken. The
Uh-huh.
look, the look on the guy who was playing Poseidon. I think what he was trying to go for was like, oh, he's like kind of scared and horrified to open the gate, but
Mm-hmm.
it just looked like he was trying to take a massive shit. Did you ever? Did you think that? Just like the way,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know if you
the expression when Poseidon, was like kind of underwater, quote unquote. They were a little bit, odd, especially like, when if he was trying to depict himself as like feeling conflicted about releasing the Kraken, like it didn't really come off as
that's
being torn
that
or
was
conflicted about releasing uh, this force of nature on the humans. He didn't feel like he was having like these second thoughts or regrets. Um, it just looked like an old man who was like caught underwater, like having to open his eyes, but it's like really hard for him to open his eyes. So it's like, I guess it's like it
that.
might have, yeah. So he actually might have been underwater. So it was like really hard for him to
I
like emote.
I didn't think of that. Maybe he was underwater. I
Exactly.
hadn't thought of that
Yeah, he might have. Yeah, he
because
like for like the especially like the close up shots. He might actually have been underwater.
that would be interesting. Okay, I might have to look that up because I want now. I'm curious
Hmm.
because if he wasn't underwater, then it's like it may have been overacting. But if he was underwater, then it's like that makes actually a lot more sense.
Hmm. Right.
And the other thing too is not that I'm uh, making fun of like the Kraken because the Kraken looked pretty awesome, I thought. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm confused as far as like how the Kraken was like presented as far as like how he looks. Because I guess I've always assumed that the Kraken was some like giant, massive octopus, like squid looking thing.
Hmm. Oh, like
Um,
a la the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
well, even before I saw that, I've always, I guess, from like stories that I've read, the Kraken is presented more in that kind of giant squid thing that's like, um, yeah, I think even they did that in the newer Clash of the Titans was more of a giant squid than how
No,
he was presented
well,
here.
no, he was like, yeah, the Kraken was more of like the one from the '81 movie, but just made just done more to look more terrifying.
I see, because here
Still
he,
had like the four arms, but less of like bird uh, a bird slash fish face, more of like kind of hooded snail face in the newer one.
So less like Creature from the Black Lagoon and something more terrifying than that.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
that's because to me what I saw was it felt like it was it. This is probably done on purpose. It was like he did look a lot like the Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's
Right.
what
Oh,
I'm saying.
in the
That's
81. Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yeah, because I think
exactly
they're
what
still
I
going for. Because I think with their because um, the Kraken they said was a Titan. So and Titans were kind of like either giant humans or kind of giant humanoid like monster things. So I think this is kind of
so that,
I think
yeah.
this is
See,
the latter form where it's like kind of like a giant humanoid monster thing.
so here's the other thing that because it's been a long time since I've studied Greek mythology, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm confused at like how like the Titans. Like so obviously you have like Medusa, who's the Gorgon, who is she was an actual person, but like was um because of the god's jealousy, she was turned into some horrible creature, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
like what that was. So she ended up becoming a Titan. Then you have the Kraken, who
Mm-hmm.
um, but like what exactly are the Titans? Are they just like massive,
Well,
like
Titans were like kind of the precursor to the god. They were kind of like these uh, divine celestial beings. Sometimes they were depicted as just giant human form entities, or they were kind of like I was saying before. They're like kind of like this um, humanoid looking monster creature. Because you have you have
right,
titans like Kronos and Rhea, which were the parents of Zeus and the other Olympians. And they're
right?
depicted
Okay,
more as like giant humans,
okay, I got it.
right? Yeah, and the
Okay,
gods
yeah,
and like the
that
Olympian gods, they're more like ethereal, but they're like gods, but they're like human sized gods.
okay. That makes all right. That makes more sense. Yeah, because I always like I think that was one part of Greek mythology that I always was a little confused about. But that makes thank you for explaining that. Now I kind of
Yeah,
get
no
it now.
worries.
Because I always mixed up that like I was thinking that the Titans were like kind of the mixture between gods and humans. Because obviously like the gods did the Greek gods did mate with humans, and
Hmm.
you'd get like people like Hercules or
Right.
Perseus, and so I assumed that like so these I thought those were Titans, and because they had
Ah,
kind of that they were part god part man.
hmm right. Because like the thing about the Titan, because Cronus, the father of all the like Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, he swallowed his children. So he had to be like this giant thing.
Right. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I
Uh,
have it straight, so I'm good there.
yeah.
I love Greek mythology. I think it's really cool. It's a very interesting like storyline and
Yeah. But I'm with you, and this technically that this is you're seeing all. I mean, if you see all of the Harryhausen movies, you see this is like the absolute refinement of all the techniques that we've seen previously in his other movies. From like the skeletons to the dinosaurs uh, to or even before what was it? Even before Jason the Argonauts, and he worked on King Kong. You see all of that work beforehand, and you see it the absolute uh, final form, as it were, Pokemon reference um, in this movie. and it's great, and it's absolutely great, and it's. I think it's like I think it was really I think it was like one of those movies where it's like you end a career on. It's like there it is.
I will say probably my favorite scene or my favorite part of the film was the fight between the fight with them and Medusa. Like
Mm.
you, that was that was a very tense
Right? Yeah,
situation.
it was
And
a
so,
very tense
in,
scene because
yeah, in the stop motion, well, the look of Medusa she looked fantastic. I thought it was really well done, and the stop motion with her and and Perseus was like it was just really good.
mm,
Um, I mean, I believe that like he was actually fighting something, not like, it wasn't just some like you know, it didn't feel like fake or anything like that. It felt like a really,
mm-hmm,
it was just a great segment of the movie.
right. Yeah, for me, the only kind of odd choice was the end, where there was no dialogue. It was just all kind of like this reaction, but like no one was like no one was kind of like none of the characters like were narrating the scene. Usually, when the Kraken comes and then all of a sudden Perseus comes, but no one says like, "Look, it's Perseus." No one like they react to Perseus, showing up, but no one like exclaims like, "Oh, there's Perseus, he's arrived," and then and cheers. It's just silent. No, like everyone is like kind of reacting, but no one speaks. And I think that's a really weird kind of choice to have, especially for like the climax of the film.
Yeah, you would think that like and another person we forgot to talk about who's in this film is Burgess Meredith.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Burgess Meredith or Meredith
it's,
Burgess.
it's over, Perseus. Yes.
Yeah, it was hilarious. That's who I was. That's how I was expecting him to sound, but he actually sounded like this, refined, dignified, thespian from ancient
Well,
Greece.
yeah, because he was the original Penguin in
Oh, that's right.
in
That's right. That's right.
he's been in various Twilight Zone episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
he's done a lot. He's actually a really good actor.
Wait,
I like him a lot.
was he the glasses guy?
Um,
There's
yes,
time now.
yeah, that was him.
Okay, yeah, okay. Oh
Um,
yeah, that's right. Jeez.
but yeah, no, it's like it's over, Perseus.
Yeah, it's over. It's over, Perseus. Pack it in.
But no, he was great in the film. But you think that yeah, because he was there, like you think he would have reacted as like, oh, it's Perseus, all right, it's kind of to
Yeah,
save the
yeah.
day.
No,
But
like
yeah,
no one. No one was narrating the scene, which not saying that you have to, but it's like here's the climax of the film, and like the princess is doomed, but then all of a sudden the hero arrives, and he's like you just kind of see like these reaction shots of them looking, and then it cuts to like Perseus riding Pegasus, coming in to save the day, but no one's like yeah, like even like yeah, like Burgess Meredith's character doesn't go it's Perseus, or like or like the queen at the prospect of her daughter like being eaten by this kraken doesn't like scream or shriek or
it makes me
or sound relieved when Perseus shows up to save her daughter.
it makes me wonder like if maybe that's kind of what they were going for, and thinking that like okay, if let's say this is really happening, that where it's people are like so just like in shock that they can't say anything, like they don't know what to do. And you
Mm-hmm.
were seeing like Perseus come in, it's like it's too overwhelming for there to be any sort of speech or like sound made.
Hmm. maybe maybe, but it's still hella weird.
But like I said, in a movie setting, like there should have been something a little, maybe a little bit more there. I agree. I agree with you, Andy. But it is that would just be like maybe that was maybe the thought process behind that.
Mm. Yeah, because I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe they didn't have enough money to pay the writers for the ending, or but it's like you could have just told them like, yeah, kind of react how if it was a very dire situation. Like Queen, your daughter is going to be eaten by this kraken. Burgess Meredith, I forget what his character's name is, but you know this young boy who you took it under your wing is like returns right in the nick of time.
Oh,
You should kind of react. It's not just like kind of
I think
looking down, and then kind of like oh, just seeing him out of the corner of your eye, but like not having a reaction. It's like
I believe he Burgess Meredith played his character's name was Ammon.
probably. Yeah, let me just look at the cast. Where's that? Yeah, Aman. He played the thespian Ammon. Oh yeah, and Maggie Smith, for all you Potterheads out there, was in this movie as well. A young Maggie Smith.
Very young. Yeah, I knew I recognized her.
Yeah, she was a looker. I mean, I could always kind of tell. Even though I only remember her from like when she was like kind of old.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I remember her from. But yeah,
But
I
even
was,
still, you could tell like
I
she
was
like if looking at her, you could tell that she was a tasty piece back in the day, and she was.
oh yeah. Well, the
Yeah, she
chick who
played
played
the she played the
Andromeda.
goddess
Yeah.
Thetis, which was the mother of
Yep.
the antagonist Calibus.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and Ursula Anders was Aphrodite.
Yep.
Yeah, for those of you who are Bond fans, from what Bond movie was she in?
Oh,
I know it's one of the Sean Connery ones.
I forget which one she was in off the top of my
Mm,
head.
okay.
Yeah, she was a Bond girl. Um, what was it the chick who played Andromeda? What, she was a looker.
Oh yeah, she was hot. Judy, Judy Bowker.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
surprise nudity
yeah,
in
this
this
is still
film
a great
too.
movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprise nudity in this film too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, a lot
there
of
was the
yeah. First,
there was that bus in the
the
beginning, and then
yeah,
you
Percy's
see Andromeda.
mom. Yeah, Percy's mom,
Yep.
Danae. Yeah, it's like yeah. There's a scene where she's breastfeeding Perseus, and then yeah, and then like I don't know why Andromeda goes back to be sacrificed. She was out with Perseus to go collect the head of Medusa, but then she's like, and then Perseus decides to be noble and goes and to go get the head without her because to keep her safe, but she decides to head back so she can get sacrificed, the Kraken.
So, well, remember the reasoning is
Oh,
because they had they had 30 days to they either so they had two choices. There was either she could run away, but then the entire town of Joppa would be destroyed.
right,
They could either or she could sacrifice herself and everyone would be saved, or they could destroy the Kraken. And so
right, 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 right,
she was
right.
she was allowing herself to be sacrificed because she cared for her people. She's a princess, so she has to do that. She can't let her
Right,
people
right, right,
just
right.
like be killed for her.
That's what it was. That's right. I was like, I totally forgot about like other conditions. I was like, man, if I was her, I would have just broken out.
Yeah,
But I forgot
but yeah,
about the
like
whole
the
like,
whole
oh, if you don't get sacrificed, I'm gonna destroy your city.
but then like yeah, them going back, like there's nothing really like we're kind of how everything transpired, like how they all got back, like that's not shown or seen it because pretty much it cuts from Perseus fighting Medusa, and then like on their way back, like Pegasus is kidnapped by Calibos,
Mm-hmm.
but after the fight with Calibos, like he kind of collapses and doesn't. He's not sure he's gonna make it in time, and like has to go back and like do all this stuff, and it's just yeah, it's kind of like wild how that all comes about, but it's so it's a couple of interesting choices of how they did it, but overall it was a pretty damn good movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, another thing I was thinking about, like, because one of the terms of the sacrifice was, that she had to remain a virgin.
Yeah, that
So
was
I would
the
have
other
been like
one.
thinking, oh, so you're saying that if she's not a virgin, she's not suitable? So I would.
I thought that too. Like, so what happens if she's not?
I know. So right. So you're saying that she has to be. So you're saying to be acceptable as a sacrifice that she has to be a virgin.
I wonder. I wonder if like
Hmm.
I wonder if what if they had, let's say that had happened. Like, I wonder if they would have put on a curse like they did with Calibos, like where they just kind of.
Oh. Yeah.
But we don't know because.
Yeah. We don't know.
Well, Andy, how would you rate this film?
Um.
Or do you have any final thoughts before your rating?
Oh no. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give this movie a 3.5.
We are thinking alike today because I also am going to give it a 3.5.
Right. I mean, it's still a good movie, and I still would recommend it to people. But it's like, seeing it again as an adult and like just noticing, like how you were saying, like some of the soundtrack choices was kind of weird. And then also at the end, where like they have no dialogue whatsoever, even when they should be seemingly reacting to these fantastical things that happen. Yeah, so got to ding it for that too. But yeah, other than that, still a solid movie. I definitely uh, would tell people to watch it. Even maybe a little bit more so than like the remake.
I see the reason I would say I agree with you because I think what was accomplished in this film, yeah, is more. I think it's better than just like the CG. Not that that's not like a skill or that it or anything like that,
Right.
but it. I think it took a lot more technique and especially to get like those fight scenes with the stop motion animation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy thing to do. Like to make that look realistic.
Right,
Even I
because
think that it's
because
I think that's
even
harder
the
than
even the
even
antagonist Calibus was partly stop motion as well because because they decided to make his feet hooved. And so they, back then
right,
they didn't have the technology. They could have got. They did his face, and they were able to do the prosthesis. So there were shots where it was just like the actor wearing, the makeup and the prosthetics, but there's no way for them to do like the whole body with like the hoofed feet and things like that. So
right.
yeah, so it was amazing that they were able to do like this hybrid technique where it's like partly like actor, partly stop motion.
and that's not an easy thing to do.
Right. That's not easy. It's a very labor intensive and laborious uh, feat to accomplish.
Right, and I think that's why like we don't see really the stop motion much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I think this guy, well, Ray Harryhausen was probably inspired by King Kong and what they accomplished in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ray Harryhausen was the person that probably inspired Tim Burton to do when he did like his stop motion stuff. Although
Oh, right, like
Tim
Nightmare
Burton's
Before Christmas or Corpse Bride.
right, but that was all stop motion. So I mean, there's been a few like Coraline is another one of those films. You have um, trying to think. There's been a few other ones that are like that, but
Mm-hmm.
outside you don't really see stop motion anymore. It's kind of like
No,
it's
yeah,
kind of a
it's.
dead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think just because of the just how labor intensive it really is,
Mm-hmm.
that it just doesn't get done anymore. And this is really one of the last great stop motion films that's out there.
Mm-hmm. True. All right. Well, there you have it. That's our review. Both Robert and I give this a 3.5. Definitely go. Definitely check it out. Definitely watch this. It's a great film. Especially if you're interested in Greek mythology. I think I think it tends to stay true to the original tale of Perseus and Medusa. So points for that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah, go
so
watch it. It's
yeah,
great.
go watch.
I recommend it. Even with like in the problems we had where it's ticky tack stuff. Overall,
Right,
like
right, right,
just
right.
go watch it. It's a
Mhm.
great movie.
Right, exactly. Yeah, our 3.5 shouldn't be like our endorsement of saying it was a whatever film. Is like it's we're really kind of nitpicking at like maybe creative choices that they took, or maybe just like like limited budget, so they couldn't afford. Um, maybe they're using like stock like music or something because they couldn't necessarily afford the orchestra like one more day or whatever.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So yeah, so just very like yeah. Again, we're nitpicking, but still, we still endorse this movie, and do recommend it highly.
Very much so.
All right. Well, all right. We've reached the end of our show for tonight. I hope you were entertained. I certainly had a good time.
I had a great
Um,
time.
Even though we didn't have anything like set like that we were going to talk about, or things in the news that necessarily raised raised our dander, but we I think we still pulled off a very entertaining show for y'all, and I hope you were entertained as well.
Yeah, if you see a gator, shoot it in the face. Send it to hell where it belongs.
Right? Yeah. Kill it with
And
fire.
then eat the meat. And then eat the meat because the meat's delicious.
All right. With that said, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you. I hope that you join us every Tuesday night, sometimes live at 8-ish o'clock. I know today we started pretty much on time. That's a minor miracle for us. But please come back again next week. Don't forget to check out the library of other shows. The Circle of Jerks main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Robert's gaming channel, gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts: Twitter at PodcastCOJ and Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. That's where we put up where we share behind the scenes stuff, or we make announcements about uploads, or or what have you. Uh, and Yeah, so come back next week. We're sure to have a really fun show for you. next week as well. So until then, have a good night.
Fun.
Don't do anything I would.